One of the little-known projects of this architect is the grand 140-meter belfry. It could have become the highest building of St. Petersburg in the 18th century. And then next to the Smolny convent, one of the laciest structures of the Baroque style would have towered. The author of this grandiose project was Bartolomeo Francesco Rastrelli. An Italian by origin, he devoted all his life to serve the Russian crown, designing and constructing magnificent buildings in Moscow and St. Petersburg, Kiev, and Mitava. He built palaces for Anna Ioannovna and her favorite Biron, Anna Leopoldovna, Elizabeth, and Peter III, and resigned under Catherine the Great. His father, the Italian sculptor Bartolomeo Carlo Rastrelli, was invited to Russia by Peter I in 1716 to carry out architectural work, cast cannons, manufacture artificial colored marble, and devise machinery for the theater, as it was written in the agreement. It was the time when the Russian capital was growing and developing very rapidly. The 16-year-old Bartolomeo was carried away by the immensity of work and started to help his father in designing architectural projects. Half a century later, when he became famous, Rastrelli made an inventory of his creations, and without any hesitation he ascribed to himself even those in which he only had rendered help to his father. As a matter of fact, in the first 20 years of his life in Russia, he had only one palace built independently for the Prince of Petersburg, Cantemir. The prince's son, poet Antioch Cantemir, stated, "Rastrelli, due to his young age, is good at design and drawing, but not at practical things." Having heard about the immense talent and fantasy of the architect, Empress Anna Ioannovna ordered Rastrelli in 1730 to build for her a winter house in the Moscow Kremlin and a summer house in Lefortovo. And her favorite Biron, who actually managed the state affairs, entrusted Rastrelli with building palaces for him in Courland and appointed him court chief architect with a high annual pay. Bartolomeo, or Varfolomei, as he was called in the Russian manner, conquered high society by his talent, intelligence, and good manners. But at work, the architect was tough and despotic. He wrote harsh reports to government officials, threatening to give up work because of the lack of skillful workmen and necessary materials. But for the sake of putting into practice his ideas, he patiently endured the Tsar's fault-finding, demonstrated diplomacy and flattery. That is why when Biron was imprisoned in Schlisselburg fortress and Anna Leopoldovna ascended to the throne, the coup did not do any harm to Rastrelli's career. And in 1741, after the ascent of Elizabeth, Peter the Great's daughter, the talent of the architect revealed itself in all its glory. Rastrelli built the Bolshoi, or Catherine Palace, in Tsarskoe Selo for the Empress. It is the most luxurious residence of the Russian Tsars, one of the pinnacles of Elizabethan Baroque. In the 4th year of her reign, the pious empress, according to a legend, made up her mind to abdicate and go to a convent. It was for Elizabeth that Rastrelli began to build the Smolny convent in Petersburg. About 2,000 soldiers of Petersburg and Kronstadt garrisons worked every day driving piles. But when the 7-year war broke out, the flow of money wore out and the construction of the grandiose temple stopped. The completion foundation for the 140-meter bell tower was no longer remembered. The architectural ensemble of the Smolny convent remained only as a wooden model. Rastrelli managed to build only cells and the cathedral. Later, architect Gvarenji, an adherent of classicism, would call the Smolny convent cathedral a great Baroque creation, and passing by it, he would always take off his hat to pay his respect. Rastrelli became Elizabeth's favorite architect. The court circles made numerous requests. The architect designs the Bolshoi Palace in Peterhof, St. Andrew's Church in Kiev. He built houses for Counts Vorontsov and Stroganov in Petersburg and continued the completion of the Winter Palace. In the inner planning of the Winter Palace, Rastrelli used his favorite principle of endless suite of halls. Elizabeth never saw Rastrelli's most grandiose creation completed. In 1762, a new Russian emperor, Peter III, settled down in the Winter Palace. He decorated the architect with the Order of St. Anna and conferred the rank of Major General to him. These were the first and the only decorations to Rastrelli for the 46 years of his loyal service. But 2 months later, the architect's life changed radically. Having dethroned her husband, Catherine the Great ascended to the throne. With her assuming power, the magnificent Baroque style gave way to austere classicism, and Rastrelli was no longer wanted at the court. The architect offered his services to the Duke of Courland and the King of Prussia, but to no effect. The master of the Russian Baroque passed away in 1771, either in Switzerland or in Petersburg. It is unknown where his grave is. The art of Bartolomeo Rastrelli turned Petersburg into the city of palaces. In 1923, the square in front of the Smolny convent was named Rastrelli Square.